How to become mentally strong with small daily discipline. Your brain is not broken, it is untrained. And every time you wait for motivation, every time you choose the path of least resistance, you are training it to be weak. This ends now. Mental strength is not a feeling you find, it is a skill you forge in the furnace of daily, deliberate, microscopic discipline. This book is your manual. You will learn that the single most powerful force in your life is not a breakthrough, it is a ritual, a tiny, repeatable action you perform when you don't want to. That is the seed of unbreakable character. Listen and start building. Chapter 1. Stop chasing the spark. That emotional high, it's a chemical accident. It's not a plan. And when you inevitably crash, you don't blame the flawed strategy of chasing a feeling. You blame yourself. I guess I just don't want it enough. No, wrong. The problem isn't your desire. The problem is your fuel. You're trying to run a cross-country road trip on a single firework. It's impossible. So here is the truth, the pivot, the only thing that matters. Discipline is the antidote to emotion. You cannot control how you feel. You can wake up feeling drained, uninspired, fearful, lazy. That is not a choice. Your feelings are data, not directives. But you can always control what you do. That is the separation. That is the power. Discipline is the decision made in advance, executed regardless of emotion. It is the system that operates in sunshine and in storm. Motivation says, I feel like doing it, so I will. Discipline says, I committed to doing it, so I must. One is passive, waiting for the world to align. The other is active, commanding your own behavior no matter what the world throws at you. Become the engine. An engine doesn't feel like running. It doesn't need a pep talk. It has a process: fuel, spark, combustion, motion. You must install your own process. Your process is your non-negotiable schedule. Your process is showing up when you're crying. Your process is writing the first sentence when the blank page terrifies you. Your process is lacing up your shoes and walking out the door when every muscle screams to stay on the couch. The focus must shift right now from seeking a spark to installing a system. Don't ask yourself, how do I feel? Ask yourself, what does the process require? The process doesn't have feelings, it has steps. Follow the steps. This is where your power lies, in the choice. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Not a choice about how you feel, but a choice about what you do. Feeling unmotivated? Good. That's the most crucial time to practice discipline. Doing it when you're motivated is easy. Doing it when you're not is everything. That's the key. That's the entire game. You don't need motivation's permission. You never did. You've been waiting at the starting line for a referee who died years ago. The race has already started. The only person keeping you from moving is you, staring at the empty spot where you think motivation should be standing, giving you the signal. It's not coming. Discipline is the fuel that runs when the spark is long gone. It's the dull, relentless, beautiful machinery of progress. It's not sexy. It won't give you chills. It will give you results. So starting today, you stop worshiping the false prophet. You stop confusing a feeling for a foundation. When the alarm goes off and you feel nothing but the desire to sleep, that's your moment. That's the arena. Your discipline gets to speak. You move. You execute the first step of the process. You do not negotiate with your emotions. You command your body. You build the system. You become the engine. You fuel it with action, not with wishful thinking. You have a choice. Choose the process over the feeling. Choose the engine over the spark. Choose discipline. It's the only thing that was ever truly on your side. You've declared independence from your own fleeting emotions. Now you must learn to wield your focus like a weapon. But first, you have to stop drowning out your own thoughts. Let's talk about the true currency of your life.
Chapter 2. The Compound Interest of Micro-Wins. Forget the grand gesture. Abandon the heroic one-time effort. That is the drama of failure. Real change, lasting power, the kind that rebuilds a life, operates on a different principle entirely. It operates on the principle of the micro-win. You've been programmed to believe that transformation requires a seismic event, a huge breakthrough, a single monumental effort that changes everything. That's another lie. That's how you set yourself up for spectacular collapse. Because when you aim for the mountaintop in a single leap, you end up broken at the base. The truth is, your brain, your discipline, your new life, it is not built in leaps. It is built in layers. Brick by brick, action by action. This isn't just psychology, this is biology. Let's talk about the neuroscience of repetition. Every time you choose the disciplined action, especially the small, insignificant one, you are not just checking a box, you are physically rewiring your brain. You are strengthening the neural pathways in your prefrontal cortex, the command center for self-control. Think of it like a muscle. A single tiny contraction doesn't change your body, but 1,000 consistent daily contractions, that builds strength. That changes your architecture. Each micro-win is a repetition. Each repetition fortifies the pathway. Each fortified pathway makes the next choice easier, more automatic. It's not psychological, it's biological. You are quite literally building a disciplined brain, one synaptic connection at a time. This is the most powerful force you aren't using, compound interest, but applied to your behavior, your identity, your life. This is the 1% rule in action. It's not about 100% overhaul today. It's about a 1% improvement consistently every single day. The focus is on the ridiculous, laughable ease of the daily action, not the monumental result. The result is an inevitable mathematical certainty, not a motivational fantasy. The real-world examples are everywhere, waiting for you to seize them. You don't need to read a book a week. Read 1 page per day. Just one. That's the commitment. So easy it feels stupid. Do that, and you will have read over 30 books in a year. 30 books. You will have lapped 99% of the population, not by heroic effort, but by the trivial daily discipline of 1 page. You feel overwhelmed? Chaotic? You don't need a time management seminar. You need 5 minutes of daily planning. 5 minutes every morning. Write the 3 non-negotiable tasks for the day. That's it. That microscopic discipline will save you 3 hours of weekly confusion, wheel spinning, and reactive chaos. 5 minutes of investment for 3 hours of return. That's a 3,600% yield. Find me a stock that does that. The power is in the consistency, not the intensity. A mediocre workout done without fail every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a year will transform your body far more than the fanatical 2-hour daily crusade that you abandon in 3 weeks. Don't build a mountain, lay a brick. Perfectly. Then another. You look at the mountain, the finished body, the successful business, the fluent language, the peaceful mind, and you freeze. It's too big, it's too far, so you do nothing. That's the error. You are not tasked with building the mountain. You are only tasked with laying today's brick. Your entire focus, your entire will, your entire discipline is applied to this one single brick. Is it level? Is it set? Is it done? Good. Walk away. The mountain is not your concern. Your concern is the craft of the brick. The mountain builds itself. It builds itself through the relentless, invisible accumulation of perfect, tiny efforts. You won't see it day to day. That's the point. This work operates in the stealth mode of compound interest. You have to trust the math, not your fickle perception. 1 brick today looks like nothing. 100 bricks is a foundation. 1,000 bricks is a fortress. Stop evaluating your progress daily. You are too close to the canvas. You are judging a masterpiece by looking at a single brushstroke. Just lay the brick. Follow the system. Execute the trivial, easy daily action. That's the key. That's the only thing you control. You don't need their permission to read one page. You don't need to feel motivated to spend 5 minutes planning. You just need the discipline to do the microscopically small thing. That's the choice. The choice isn't between sloth and heroism. It's between nothing and one brick. Always choose the brick. You have a choice. Every day, in 100 tiny moments, you have a choice. Choose the micro-win. Choose the repetition. Choose the neural pathway. Let the compound interest of your discipline pay out in a life you could not have imagined from a single starting point. You are becoming the engine, brick by brick, but an engine can be stalled by the smallest piece of grit. Now we need to strip away everything that slows your momentum. You've started building. Now you must learn to eliminate the enemy of all progress.
Chapter 3. The 2-minute rule of unbreakable focus. You've laid the brick. You've committed to the micro-win. Good. Now we hit the wall. The wall isn't the work itself. The wall is the moment before the work, that space between thinking about the task and actually starting it. That gap is where dreams go to die. It's a breeding ground for resistance, negotiation, and failure. You know the scene. You sit down to work. You need to write the report, start the project, draft the email. And instead, you organize your desk. You check the news. You fall into a 15-minute vortex about something that doesn't matter. That gap, that threshold, is your enemy. And today, we annihilate it with a weapon so simple, you'll dismiss it. Don't. Introducing the law of initiation. Any task, any project, any single element of your discipline that can be started in less than 2 minutes, you start it. Immediately. No negotiation. No, I'll do it after this coffee. You move now. This rule is not about finishing. It's about beginning. It's a psychological hack to bypass the resistance entirely. Your brain is wired to avoid perceived pain, and starting a big, ambiguous task feels like pain, so you avoid it. The 2-minute rule shrinks the pain down to something so trivial, so laughably small, that your resistance has nothing to grab onto. You're not committing to the marathon. You're committing to tying your shoes. And once your shoes are tied, you might as well take a step, and another. That's momentum. Discipline is the momentum of consistent initiation. Let's break this into real-world application. You're overwhelmed because your goal is too big, too final, too loaded with meaning. Write a book is a nightmare. It's a 300-page monster staring you down. You'll never start, so you don't. Apply the law. Write a book becomes open the document. That's a 2-minute action, so you do it. Now you're staring at a blank page. The next 2-minute action, write 1 sentence. Just one. That's it. You're not writing a book. You are performing a series of 2-minute initiations, one after the other. Get fit is a fantasy. It's a sculpted body on a magazine cover. It's intimidating, so you stay on the couch. Apply the law. Get fit becomes put on your running shoes. That's it. Don't think about the run. Just put on the shoes. The action is so small that refusal is illogical. What, you can't put on shoes? Once the shoes are on, the next 2-minute action presents itself. Walk out the door. Then walk to the end of the street. You need to clean the garage? The project is a weekend killer. It fills you with dread, so the garage stays a mess for 6 months. Apply the law. Don't clean the garage. Just go stand in the garage for 2 minutes. Then pick up one tool and put it away. That's all. The hardest part of any discipline is the threshold. The threshold is the psychological barrier, the energy required to transition from inaction to action. It's immense. We inflate it with the weight of the entire task. Your job is to deflate it, to make crossing it require no more effort than blinking. Make the threshold laughably small, and you will cross it every time. That's the key. You are not fighting a war with willpower. You are outsmarting your own brain's resistance. You're setting the entry fee so low that it's absurd not to pay it. You have a choice to let the monolithic task paralyze you or to identify the first 2-minute action and execute it without thought. That's the discipline. It's the discipline of initiation. It's not about motivation. It's not about feeling ready. It's about mechanical action. You don't need their permission to open a document. You don't need to feel inspired to put on your shoes. You just need to follow the law. Start. The momentum will build from there. The focused state, the flow, the progress, it doesn't come before you start. It comes as a consequence of starting. You have a choice. In every moment of resistance, you have a choice. You can stare at the mountain and feel small, or you can look at your feet and take one trivial 2-minute step. Choose the step every time. That's how you build unbreakable focus, not by mustering heroic concentration for hours, but by repeatedly tricking yourself into starting. The focus follows. This rule takes the grand drama out of discipline and reduces it to a simple executable algorithm. If it takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. If it's big, find the first 2-minute action and do that now. Stop thinking, start doing. The threshold is an illusion you demolish with action. You've mastered the start, but what about the noise in your head that says you can't or you shouldn't or you'll fail? To sustain this focus, you must first silence your own greatest critic.
Chapter 4. Your non-negotiable anchor habit. You've learned to start. You've learned to build with small bricks. Now we need to install your foundation, a foundation that cannot crack, cannot shift, cannot be negotiated away. Because discipline without a foundation is just a series of random acts. It lacks a center. It lacks a point of return. You need one thing you can point to every single day and say, this I did. Not for the result, for the proof. This is the concept of the keystone of control. In an arch, the keystone is the central wedge-shaped stone that locks all the others in place. Remove it and the entire structure collapses. Your disciplined life needs a keystone. You will select one single tiny discipline, one action, and you will perform it daily, without exception, without negotiation, regardless of circumstance, travel, fatigue, or feeling. This becomes your psychological anchor. Your anchor habit is not about the action itself. It's about the covenant you make with yourself. Every time you complete it, you deposit trust into the bank account of your own integrity. You are proving in a tangible, physical way that your word to yourself means something. Most people's word to themselves is worthless. They promise and they break, promise and they break until their own internal voice is just background noise they've learned to ignore. You will not be one of them. Your anchor habit is your proof of self-trust. Let's talk examples of anchors. The action must be trivial in effort, but monumental in meaning. It could be making your bed immediately upon rising, a 30-second ritual that declares order. It could be a 60-second cold shower, a daily, voluntary baptism in discomfort that screams you are not ruled by your desire for ease. It could be writing 3 sentences of gratitude in a notebook before you touch your phone, a deliberate focus on what you have, not what you lack. It could be a 5-minute morning stillness practice, sitting in silence, commanding your mind to be still before the world floods it with noise. The power is not in the action. The power is in its immovability. It is the one line you will not cross. It is the commitment that is not subject to your feelings, your busy schedule, or your excuses. You are sick? You can do your anchor habit from bed. You are traveling across time zones. You do it in the hotel bathroom. You are emotionally shattered? The anchor is your tether back to sanity. It is the thing you do when you cannot do anything else. That's why it's an anchor. It holds you steady in any storm. Your anchor habit is not for the day. It is for your identity. Think about that. You're not doing it to have a tidy bed. You're doing it to become the type of person who keeps their covenants. You're not doing it to shock your system with cold water. You're doing it to forge the type of person who does the hard thing simply because they said they would. The action is just the vehicle. The destination is a new you, a reliable you, a you that is in command. Each completion is a vote for that identity.
Miss it, and you cast a vote for the old, unreliable you. You have a choice. Every single day, you have a choice of who you are going to be. The anchor habit is the ballot. It's not about perfection in everything. It's about integrity in one thing. That's the key. You don't need to be a hero in 10 areas. You need to be a person of your word in one. That one victory, that one kept promise sends a ripple through your entire psyche. It's the daily whisper that says, I am in command. Not of your world, not of other people, of yourself, of your own behavior. In a world designed to pull you in 100 directions, your anchor habit is your North Star. It is the non-negotiable touchstone that reminds you, you are the author here. You set the rules. You follow them. You don't need their permission to make your bed. You don't need to feel motivated to turn the shower to cold. You just need the discipline to honor the promise you made to yourself when no one was watching. That is the purest form of self-respect. Start today, not tomorrow. Today, pick one, only one. Make it stupidly simple. Make it impossible to fail. And then do not fail. Let it be the first victory of your day, secured before the world even knows you're awake. That victory sets the tone. It tells the rest of your day, I am a person who does what they say they will do. Everything else becomes easier after that. This is how you build a fortress of self-trust, one daily stone at a time. Your anchor habit is the cornerstone. Lay it perfectly. Guard it fiercely.
You have a choice. Choose your anchor. Choose your identity. Choose command. You've anchored your day in self-trust, but the world doesn't respect your anchor. It will send waves to test you. Now you must learn to stand firm, not just in your habits, but in the face of others' opinions, demands, and chaos. Chapter 5. Kill the committee in your mind. You've set your anchor. You've built your systems. Now meet the enemy that lives inside them. It's not the world. It's not your schedule. It's the cacophony inside your own skull, the committee. This is the internal dialogue, the endless board meeting of your fears, your laziness, your justifications. It's the voice that says, just this once. The one that whispers, you've worked hard, you deserve a break. The one that rationalizes, it's a special occasion. The one that promises, start fresh tomorrow. Listen to me very clearly. The negotiation is the failure. The moment you entertain that first compromise, you have already lost. You are not debating a choice. You are presiding over your own surrender. Discipline dies not in the act of skipping the workout or eating the junk food or hitting snooze. Discipline dies in the 5-minute internal drama before the act, where you weigh options, consider feelings, and ultimately choose the path of least resistance. That drama is your kryptonite. You must understand this. That committee is not you. It is a collection of outdated impulses, programmed desires, and cowardly instincts. Its sole purpose is to keep you small, safe, and comfortable. It has no vision for your greatness. It only has a fear of your discomfort. And it will dress up its cowardice in the most reasonable, sympathetic costumes. You're tired. It's been a long day. One won't hurt. These are not truths. They are sabotage in a friendly mask. Your job is not to reason with this committee. Your job is to gavel it to silence, permanently. You do this by implementing the no argument protocol. Here is how it works. You must frame your disciplined action not as a choice, but as a law of physics. It is not a topic for debate. You do not argue with gravity. You do not have a thoughtful internal dialogue about whether to step off a cliff. You understand the law, and you act or don't act accordingly. Your anchor habit, your 2-minute start, your brick for the day, these are your personal laws of physics. You don't feel like making the bed? Irrelevant. The law states the bed is made upon rising. You don't want to do the cold shower? Not a factor. The law states the water is turned to cold. There is no committee meeting called to discuss the validity of gravity. There is no vote. There is only the law and your compliance with it. Discipline is not a discussion, it is a decree. When the committee starts its chatter, and it will, you do not engage, you do not offer counterarguments, you simply issue the command. You speak to yourself not as a negotiator, but as a general. The command is short, it is final, it is the execution of the law. The thought arises, you could sleep in today. Your response is not a debate about sleep hygiene, it is the command, feet on the floor. The committee whines, this is too hard, take a break. Your response is not a therapy session, it is next rep. The negotiation begins, just skip it, you'll do it tomorrow. Your gavel comes down, the law is now. You are not being cruel to yourself, you are being decisive. You are cutting the parasitic process of negotiation out of your life. That process is where your energy and willpower bleed out. Stop the bleed. Issue the order, then follow it. That's the entire mechanism. The space between the order and the action must become infinitesimally small, so small that the committee doesn't have time to assemble. You hear the first whisper of dissent, and your response is immediate physical motion. You don't think, you act. Action silences the committee. Inaction gives it a microphone. You have a choice. You can host the endless internal draining debate where you are both the salesman and the reluctant customer, or you can be the sovereign. You can issue the decree and watch your own body obey. That's the key. That's the shift in identity, from negotiator to commander. You don't need their permission to silence your own doubts. You don't need to feel resolved to issue an order. You just need to recognize the negotiation for what it is, the failure happening in real time. And then you shut it down. Kill the committee, one decisive order at a time. Stop explaining your laws to yourself. Just enforce them. You have a choice. Choose the decree. Choose the law. Choose the silence of immediate action over the noise of endless debate. You've silenced the internal committee. You rule your own mind. But a king without a kingdom is just a man in a room shouting orders. Now you must learn to project that command outward, to structure the very hours of your day so that your discipline is inevitable. Chapter 6. Embrace the sacred boredom. Let's dismantle another poisonous myth, the myth of excitement. You've been sold a story that growth, mastery, and a powerful life should feel thrilling, dynamic, full of breakthroughs and light bulb moments and viral progress. That's a lie designed to sell you content, not build you a character. The truth is brutal and liberating. The glamour of growth is a lie. Real strength isn't forged in the spectacular moment. It's forged in the boring, repetitive, utterly invisible ones. The magic isn't in the explosion, it's in the monotony. The 1,000th squat with the same form as the first, the 500th morning writing the same morning pages, the 10,000th deliberate breath. Seeking excitement in your discipline is the fastest path to burnout, because excitement is unsustainable. It's a spark. What you need is the slow, steady burn of the log on the fire. Look at anyone who has truly mastered anything. Their practice isn't exciting, it's ritualistic, it's almost mundane. A concert pianist's genius is built upon scales played perfectly, slowly, for hours in an empty room. A champion's title is won in a gym doing the same fundamental movements over and over, while the world outside is loud and distracting. They are not chasing a feeling, they are honoring a process, and a process, by its nature, is repetitive, it is predictable, it is, to the untrained eye, boring. Your job is to retrain your eye, to see the boredom not as a barrier, but the very substance of your transformation. This is about finding certainty in the process. You can't control outcomes. You can't control the market, the judge's opinion, the reader's taste, the final score. Trying to control outcomes is a recipe for anxiety and paralysis. But you can always, always control your process. Your process is your territory. It is the one thing you own outright. When the world is chaotic, when results are delayed, when doubt screams, you cling to your process. You execute the ritual. The boredom of your ritual becomes your sanctuary of control.
Getting up at 5:07 a.m. every day without drama is boring. Drinking the same protein shake, eating the same chicken and rice, doing the same mobility routine, it's boring. But in that boredom lies a profound power, the power of predictability. You are no longer at the mercy of your whims. You are guided by your design. The boredom is the price of entry for a mind that is calm, focused, and free from the tyranny of, "What do I feel like doing?" Fall in love with the boredom. This is the non-negotiable mindset shift. Stop resisting the repetition. Start seeking it. The repetition is the signal. It means you are on the path. Excitement is the distraction, the shiny object that pulls you into the ditch. The perfectly executed, boring routine is the highway. The boredom is where the work is done, not in the inspired frenzy, in the daily grind. The work is in showing up when nothing is new, when the novelty has worn off, when it's just you and the task again. That is the arena. That's where discipline separates itself from a fleeting mood. Anyone can be disciplined when it's new and exciting. The warrior is born when the excitement dies, and they do it anyway, finding a deeper, quieter satisfaction in the sheer fidelity to the act itself. You have a choice. You can chase the dopamine hit of the new, bouncing from tactic to tactic, never building depth, or you can settle into the deep, quiet hum of mastery. You can choose the boring path. The boring path is the only one that leads somewhere new. The exciting paths just lead in circles. You don't need their permission to have a boring life. You don't need to justify your rituals to anyone. Your sacred boredom is your competitive advantage in a world addicted to noise and novelty. While others are distracted by the next shiny thing, you are building, brick by identical brick. So make your process boring on purpose. Simplify it. Repeat it. Do not seek to jazz it up. The goal is not entertainment. The goal is transformation. And transformation is a slow, undramatic chemical process. Excitement is a distraction. Fall in love with the boredom. Trust the monotony. Let the repetition become your meditation. In that sacred, quiet space of doing the thing again, you will find a version of yourself that is unshakable, not because of a thrilling victory, but because of 1,000 quiet, boring victories no one else will ever see. You have a choice. Choose the ritual. Choose the repetition. Choose the sacred, powerful, transformative boredom. You've learned to find power in the monotony, but the world is engineered to shatter that focus, to make the simple path complicated, to slow you down. Now you must learn the final defensive art, systematically eliminating every point of resistance. Chapter 7. Design your environment, design your willpower. Listen carefully. I'm about to tell you something that will destroy one of the biggest lies you've been sold about discipline. You think willpower is infinite. You think the solution is to just be stronger, to just want it more, to just push harder when temptation shows up at your door. You're wrong. Willpower is a scarce resource. It depletes. It runs out. And every single time you rely on it, you're gambling with your future. The people who seem to have endless discipline, they're not stronger than you. They're smarter than you. They don't fight temptation. They eliminate it. They don't white-knuckle their way through cravings. They design their world so the cravings never appear. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on wiring. Wire your world so that success is automatic and failure is difficult. Here's what most people do. They wake up and immediately grab their phone. They keep junk food in the pantry for guests. They leave their credit cards saved on every shopping website. They put their gym clothes somewhere in the back of the closet. Then they wonder why they fail. You're not failing because you're weak. You're failing because your environment is sabotaging you every single hour of every single day. Your environment is stronger than your intentions, always. Your surroundings will beat your willpower 100 times out of 100. That's not a character flaw, that's human nature. So stop fighting it. Start designing for it. Let me be brutally clear. Every time you say, "I just need more discipline," what you're really saying is, "I'm too lazy to fix my environment." You'd rather feel guilty than get strategic. That ends now. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on wiring. Here's how you do it. You look at every repeated failure in your life and you ask one question: how can I make the wrong choice harder and the right choice easier? You waste 3 hours every night scrolling? Your phone doesn't sleep in your bedroom anymore. It charges in another room, in a drawer, in your car, somewhere that requires effort to access. You eat garbage at night? There is no garbage in your house, not hidden in the back, not just for special occasions. Gone. If you want junk food at midnight, you have to get dressed, get in your car, and drive to a store. You've just made the disciplined choice the easy choice, and the undisciplined choice the hard choice. Wire your world so that success is automatic and failure is difficult. You blow money on impulse purchases? Delete every saved payment method. Remove every one-click buying option. Make yourself manually enter your card number every single time. Add friction, add steps, add annoying, frustrating barriers between impulse and action. You skip workouts? Your gym clothes are laid out the night before. Your shoes are by the door. Your gym bag is in your car. You've eliminated every excuse, every moment of decision fatigue, every opportunity to negotiate with yourself. This is the discipline of environment design. You're not trying to be strong, you're trying to be smart. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You will always take the path of least resistance. Always. That's how your brain is wired. So stop trying to rewire your brain and start rewiring your environment. Don't rely on willpower. Rely on wiring. Think about your workday. You sit down to your computer, and within 10 minutes you're on social media, on news sites, on anything except the work that actually matters. You blame your lack of focus. You blame your weak discipline. Wrong target.
Your environment is designed for distraction. Every tab is one click away. Every notification is fighting for your attention. Every website is engineered by teams of PhDs whose only job is to hijack your focus. And you think willpower is going to win that fight? Install the website blockers, delete the apps, turn off every notification that isn't absolutely critical. Make distraction require effort. Make focus the default state. Wire your world so that success is automatic and failure is difficult. Let's talk about food again, because this is where most people lose. You keep healthy foods somewhere in the back of the fridge, still wrapped, requiring prep work. You keep junk food right there on the counter, ready to grab. Then you wonder why you make bad choices. Flip it. Pre-portion your healthy snacks on Sunday. Put them front and center. Make grabbing an apple easier than grabbing chips. Make the nutritious choice the convenient choice. You're not fighting your cravings, you're designing around them. This applies to everything. Everything. Your finances, your relationships, your productivity, your health. Want to read more? Put the book on your pillow. Want to drink more water? Put filled bottles everywhere you sit. Want to stop checking email first thing in the morning? Don't have your email app on your phone. Don't rely on willpower, rely on wiring. I know what you're thinking. This feels like cheating. Real discipline means doing the hard thing even when it's difficult. That's ego talking. That's the part of you that would rather feel superior than actually succeed. Let me ask you something. If you could architect your life so that success was inevitable, why wouldn't you? If you could remove temptation instead of fighting it, why wouldn't you? Pride, that's why. You want to prove you're strong enough to resist. You want the struggle to mean something. But the struggle doesn't mean anything if you lose. And you will lose, because willpower depletes and your environment never does.
The smartest people don't fight harder, they fight smarter. They understand that every decision costs energy, every moment of resistance drains the tank, so they eliminate the decisions, they remove the resistance. Wire your world so that success is automatic and failure is difficult. This is the practical reality of discipline. It's not inspirational, it's not sexy, it's strategic, it's ruthlessly, coldly practical. You stop keeping alcohol in the house if you drink too much. You stop following accounts that make you feel inadequate. You stop going to places that trigger your worst habits. You stop putting yourself in positions where willpower is the only thing standing between you and failure. You design your day so that the disciplined path is the path of least resistance. That's the key. You've been taught that discipline is about strength, about fortitude, about pushing through when it's hard. That's partially true, but it's incomplete. Real discipline is about intelligence. It's about understanding your limitations and designing around them. It's about being honest enough to admit that you're human and smart enough to build systems that compensate for that humanity. Don't rely on willpower, rely on wiring. So here's your assignment. Pick one area where you consistently fail, just one. Now ask yourself, how is my environment making this failure easy? Then fix it, today, not tomorrow, not when you feel motivated, today. Remove the temptation, add the friction, make the wrong choice require effort, and the right choice require nothing. You'll be shocked how much easier everything becomes when you stop fighting yourself and start designing for yourself. This is the discipline of environment design. You've mastered it. You understand that your surroundings shape your behavior more than your intentions ever will. Now let's talk about the most powerful currency you have, the one resource that determines whether you live as a reactor or a creator, the one thing that separates the successful from the struggling. Chapter 8, the scorecard that doesn't lie. Enough with the vague intentions. Enough with the "I'm kind of working on it" and the "I'm mostly sticking to it." That's the language of failure dressed up as effort. It's time for cold, hard, undeniable truth. It's time for numbers. There is a law in this universe, one of the few you can absolutely trust. What gets measured gets managed. You cannot manage what you do not measure. You cannot improve what you do not track. A goal without a metric is a wish. A discipline without a record is a mood, and moods change. Numbers don't lie. This chapter is about building your scorecard. This is not a complicated strategic plan. It is a simple, brutal daily record of your core disciplines. A checkmark on a paper calendar, an X in a grid, a chain in an app. It is the external visual representation of your internal commitment. The power of this is psychological dynamite. The visual chain of success is a primal motivator. You look at a week of unbroken checkmarks, a chain of X's, and something in your animal brain fires. Do not break the chain. It becomes a game you play with yourself, a sacred contract. Conversely, the blank space, the broken link, is a silent, screaming accusation. It's not me judging you, it's your own record staring back at you, stating the simple fact: you did not do what you said you would do. You cannot argue with an empty box. Here's the critical rule. Focus on the action, not the ambiguity. You do not track feelings. You do not track approximations. You track behaviors. Binary, yes or no, did it or didn't do it actions. You do not track felt healthy. You track drank 8 glasses of water. You do not track was productive. You track completed the 3 priority tasks. You do not track felt peaceful. You meditated for 5 minutes. You do not track worked out. You completed the 7 a.m. strength session. This creates objective, unassailable proof of progress. On days you feel like a failure, you can look at your scorecard and see the evidence. You showed up. The data overrules your temporary emotion. It is the anchor of fact in the storm of your feelings. You have a choice: to believe your fleeting doubt or to believe the documented evidence of your discipline. Choose the evidence. The scorecard is the mirror for your discipline. Look in it every single day. It shows you exactly who you are, stripped of your stories and excuses. It reflects your integrity back at you with perfect clarity. A strong chain reflects a person in command. A broken chain reflects a person who is still negotiating with themselves.
It's the most honest feedback you will ever get. You don't need a fancy system. You need a method so simple that tracking itself takes less than 10 seconds. The friction must be zero. A notepad by your bed, a calendar on your wall, a basic app on your phone. The tool doesn't matter. The consistency of use does. Let the unbroken chain be your only motivation. Forget inspiration. Forget feeling pumped up. Your motivation from this day forward is the visceral desire to see that chain continue, to preserve the perfect record, to build a legacy of check marks that proves to yourself that you are different now. This is how you operationalize discipline. You reduce it to a daily input and you record the output. No drama, just data. You have a choice. You can live in the fog of good intentions where every day is a negotiation and you never really know where you stand, or you can live in the clear, sharp light of measurement. You can face the scorecard. It's not there to shame you for a miss. It's there to show you the truth so you can correct course immediately. 1 blank space is a warning. 2 is a crisis. 3 is an identity collapsing back into its old form. You don't need their permission to put an X on a calendar. You don't need to feel accomplished to record your completed anchor habit. You just need the discipline to be honest with the box. Did you do it? Yes or no? Check or leave it blank. This brutal simplicity is your salvation. Start your scorecard today, right now. Pick your 3 core non-negotiables, your anchor habit, your most important brick, your key ritual, and track them. Nothing else. Just those 3. Look at it every day. Let it be your report card. Let it be your judge. Let it be the mirror that eventually shows you the face of someone who keeps their promises. You have a choice. Choose the metric, choose the truth, choose the chain. You are now building a documented history of victory. But a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. To protect it, you must learn to see the moments of sabotage before they happen. You must master the environment where your discipline lives or dies. Chapter 9. The Identity Shift. From I do to I am. There's a moment in every transformation where something fundamental shifts. Not in your circumstances, not in your environment, in you. This is that moment. For months, maybe years, you've been grinding. You've woken up earlier, you've skipped the junk food, you've done the work nobody sees, you've stared down your fears, you've stayed silent when you wanted to explode. And every time you did these things, you probably told yourself the same lie. I'm doing discipline. That's not how this works anymore. You're not doing discipline. Not anymore. You're becoming someone for whom discipline is not an act. It's an identity. It's not something you perform. It's something you are. And that shift from I do to I am is where the real transformation happens. Listen closely. You are not building discipline. You are proving it to yourself every day until the proof becomes your persona. Think about how identity actually works. When you say, I'm a runner, you don't decide whether to run on Tuesday. You run. It's not a negotiation with yourself. It's not a willpower contest. It's automatic. It's axiomatic. It's who you are. The same applies here. Right now, you're still operating from a narrative of scarcity. I have to do this. I have to go to the gym. I have to eat well. I have to keep my mouth shut when I'm angry. That's exhausting. That's why so many people quit. The constant negotiation between who they're trying to become and who they've always been grinds them down. But here's what happens when you shift the language, when you shift the story. When you stop saying, I have to, and you start saying, this is just what someone like me does. This is the turning point. This is where discipline stops being a burden and becomes a non-negotiable expression of who you are. Let me be direct. You've already proven it. Every single time you've chosen the hard path, you've shown yourself something, that you're capable, that you can be trusted by yourself, that you don't break. That's evidence. That's data. And you're collecting it daily. But most people don't acknowledge the collection. They don't integrate the evidence into their identity. They complete the workout and think, good, now what's next? They nail the difficult conversation and think, relief. They don't stop and think, that's who I am. That's proof. You need to change that. Every disciplined action is a vote for the identity you're constructing. You wake up at 5 a.m., that's a vote for I'm disciplined. You turn down the offer to complain, that's a vote for I'm someone who controls my narrative. You do the work when it's boring and hard and nobody's watching, that's a vote for I'm trustworthy to myself. And here's the thing about votes, they accumulate, they compound. One vote doesn't change an election, but 100,000 votes, 1,000,000 votes, that's a mandate. That's an undeniable reality. You are proving it to yourself every day until the proof becomes your persona. This is why language matters so profoundly. The words you use aren't decoration, they're instructions to your nervous system. They're blueprints for your behavior. When you say, I have to stay focused, you're operating from a place of external pressure. Someone's making you. The rules are making you. Discipline is a cage. When you say, this is what I do, you've internalized it. You've taken ownership. You've moved it from obligation to identity. And when you say, this is just who I am, you've completed the transformation. It's no longer even a choice anymore. It's a reflex. It's a law of your nature. Think about how you treat your actual identity. If someone asked you, are you a left-handed person? You wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't deliberate. If you're left-handed, you're left-handed. That's not up for debate. That's not a willpower contest. Discipline works exactly the same way once you've made the shift. Here's your instruction. Stop talking about what you're trying to do. Stop framing your actions as efforts against yourself. Start describing yourself as the person who already does these things. I'm someone who wakes up early, not I'm trying to wake up early. I'm someone who doesn't seek validation from every interaction, not I'm trying to be less needy for attention. I'm someone who does the work when it matters, not I'm trying to be more disciplined. The language shift is the identity shift.
And here's what happens once you've made it. The actions become easier because they're no longer external impositions. They're expressions of your nature. You're not forcing yourself to be someone else. You're confirming who you already are. This is why 1 year from now, discipline will feel effortless, not because willpower grows infinitely, but because you will have integrated it into your core narrative about yourself. You won't be resisting temptation. You won't be fighting yourself. You'll simply be doing what's consistent with who you are. The person you're becoming doesn't negotiate with junk food, doesn't question early mornings, doesn't seek permission to pursue their vision, doesn't waste time in self-pity. Not because they're superhuman, but because they've proven it so many times that it's no longer aspirational, it's factual. You're not building discipline, you're proving it. Every day, through every choice. Every small action is a statement. Every small action is a vote for the person you're becoming. And those votes are adding up. One day, sooner than you think, you'll realize something has shifted fundamentally. You won't be doing discipline anymore. You'll be disciplined. It won't be a practice. It'll be a fact about you. That's the identity shift. That's the transformation that lasts. You've mastered how discipline works. You've seen it in action. You've felt it change you. Now you're ready for something deeper, something that operates at a level beyond behavior, something that touches the very core of how you see yourself. Because once your identity shifts, everything else follows. Next, we need to talk about the one asset that separates people who say they're disciplined from people who actually are. It's not motivation. It's not talent. It's something you already have. You've just been giving it away to the wrong people. Chapter 10. The Unbreakable Cycle. Maintenance for Life. There's a fantasy that most people entertain, a dangerous one. They imagine a moment, a glorious, shining moment where they'll finally be strong enough, finally be disciplined enough, finally have built enough mental toughness that they can stop, they can take a break, they can relax their standards, they can coast. This fantasy is the reason most transformations fail, because here's the brutal truth. There is no finish line, not the way you've been imagining it. You don't build mental strength like you build a house, pour the foundation, raise the walls, install the roof, and then you're done, move on to the next project. Strength doesn't work that way. Mental toughness doesn't work that way. Discipline doesn't work that way. Strength is maintained exactly the way it was built, through small daily deposits, through consistent, unglamorous repetition, through the same unglamorous work that got you here in the first place. This isn't a tragedy, this is freedom. Once you accept that there's no finish line, you stop wasting energy looking for the exit. You stop checking your watch. You stop thinking about when you can finally stop. And that mental freedom, that permission to commit indefinitely, is actually what makes the whole system sustainable. Think about your body for a moment. If you spent 3 months in the gym getting strong, then stopped completely, what happens? Your body doesn't stay strong. It doesn't maintain a plateau. It deteriorates. It goes back. Not because you failed, but because strength, by definition, requires maintenance. The same applies to your mind, to your discipline, to your mental resilience. The good news is, the maintenance is easier than the acquisition. Once you've built the muscle, keeping the muscle requires less effort than building it in the first place, but it does require consistent effort every single day for the rest of your life. And here's where most people get it wrong. They think maintenance sounds boring, depressing, like punishment. But you're not being punished, you're being maintained. There's a flywheel at work here, a cycle that once activated becomes self-sustaining. Let me show you how it works. You do one small disciplined action, push-ups, cold showers, shutting your mouth when you want to lash out, whatever it is, one small action. That's a brick. That brick by itself is nothing, but here's what happens. That action builds a tiny bit of mental muscle, a fraction of toughness, a microscopic deposit in your resilience account. Now, because you have slightly more mental muscle, the next action is marginally easier. Not easy, marginally easier. You have more capacity. The weight feels a little lighter. The resistance feels a little less insurmountable. So you do it again. Another brick. More muscle. And because you have more muscle, the next action becomes easier still. Not because the action changed, but because you changed. You have more capacity, more mental bandwidth, more toughness to draw from. This is the resilience flywheel. And here's the crucial part. Once you're inside this cycle, it doesn't want to stop. It wants to keep spinning. Your consistency builds more discipline, which makes the next action easier, which makes you more likely to act, which builds more discipline. It's a self-reinforcing loop. But, and this is critical, the moment you stop adding bricks, the moment you miss the daily deposit, the moment you decide, I'm strong enough now, I can skip this, the wheel slows. Not immediately, but it slows. Miss one day, the wheel spins a little slower. Miss 3 days, it's noticeably slower. Miss a week, you can feel the deceleration. And the longer you're off the wheel, the harder it is to get back on. Not because the wheel is gone, but because you've lost momentum. You've lost the mental muscle you built. You have to rebuild. This is why so many people yo-yo. They build the discipline, reach a certain level of strength, then think they can stop. They step off the wheel, they take a break, and then they realize, usually too late, that they have to climb back up. There is no break. There is no finish line. There is only maintenance. But here's what's beautiful about this truth. Once you accept it, it becomes liberating. You're not working towards something anymore. You're not trying to grind for a destination. You're living a certain way. You're not trying to become disciplined. You already are. You're just maintaining it. And when life inevitably knocks you down, and it will, the system itself becomes what pulls you back up. Think about what happens when you face a setback, a failure, a loss, a betrayal, a moment where everything seems to fall apart. If you don't have the flywheel, you're alone with that pain. You're vulnerable to it. You might spiral, you might give up, you might use it as an excuse to abandon everything. But if you have the cycle active, if you've built the mental muscle through months of small daily deposits, the system catches you. The very habit of discipline becomes your anchor. You don't have to decide to push back. Your nature pulls you back. The flywheel is already spinning. It takes the debris and feeds it back into the cycle. You don't reach mental strength and stop. You inhabit it.
You maintain the fortress, one brick every single day for the rest of your life. This isn't about perfection. It's not about never missing a day. Life happens. You'll have setbacks. You'll have days where you're sick or overwhelmed or genuinely unable to perform at your usual standard. That's not failure. That's variance. What matters is the long-term trajectory. What matters is that you come back, that you understand that maintenance doesn't mean perfection. It means commitment. It means you're willing to add bricks even on the days when you don't feel like it, especially on those days, because that's when the real strength is built. The person who does the work when they're motivated is good, but the person who does the work when they're tired, when they're discouraged, when they don't feel like it, that's the person building unbreakable strength. And that strength doesn't dissipate, it compounds. 1 year from now, you won't be thinking about whether you're disciplined anymore. You'll be living it. You'll be in the fortress, and the walls will be so high, so thick, so fortified by daily maintenance that nothing knocks you down the same way anymore. Life will still hurt you, but you won't break. That's not an achievement to celebrate. That's a baseline to maintain. You've built the discipline. You've shifted your identity. You've internalized the practice. Now you need to understand something that most people never figure out until it's too late. There's a force working against you every single day, a force that whispers in your ear, a force that offers shortcuts, excuses, and comfortable lies. And most people lose to it not in one dramatic failure, but in 1,000 small surrenders. It's time to learn how to recognize it, how to resist it, how to weaponize your discipline against the one thing that actually has the power to destroy you from the inside. The blueprint is now yours. You see the lie of motivation. You hold the tool of microscopic discipline. You have the rule, 2 minutes to start. You have your anchor, your non-negotiable promise. You silence the committee. You embrace the sacred, powerful boredom. You design your environment to serve your strength. You track your undeniable progress until one day you are no longer acting disciplined. You simply are disciplined. It is who you are. The compound interest of your micro-wins has paid out in full in the currency of unshakable inner strength. The world does not get easier. You get stronger. Not by chance, but by the relentless, daily, boring, beautiful engineering of your own will. Here is your final instruction, your direct challenge. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, you will perform your 2-minute anchor. Not for results, for the ritual, for the proof. That is where it begins. That is where you begin. Not with a leap, but with a whisper. A whisper of action that screams of your new character. Do it. Start now.